The 90s. An iconic time, from the rise of video games, to the advent of sitcoms, unhinged fashion trends, and so much more. But the 90s also brought in a whole era of absolutely cracked programmers. John Carmack, Linus Torvalds, Richard Stallman, Fabrice Ballard, Dave Plummer, the guy responsible for this, who also roasted me on Twitter once. Although the 2000s and 2010s had their fair share of great programmers, they're mostly known for their business ventures, not a game that can run on a microwave, a pregnancy test, and a calculator. Of course there were legends preceding the 90s. It's just the 90s in particular spawned so many. Why is that? Let's start with the obvious. Hardware. Back in the day, if you just ran a program, you had enough time to make a sandwich before it even compiled. Nowadays, we start deprecating entire tech stacks if our build takes longer than a TikTok. RAM was measured in kilobytes, and megabytes if you were extremely rich. The cheapest smartphone you can buy from Amazon today has the RAM of a supercomputer from the 90s. I'm not even kidding. Heck, forget RAM. You'd be lucky to have a computer in your house. When memory was so tight, every single line of code mattered. 90s programmers didn't have the luxury of optimizing later. They had to optimize, otherwise their computer would crash trying to render a pixel. DIY. Back in the day, there was no pip install, no React, no AI. If you wanted a library, congratulations. Get ready to write one, chief. You were dealing with raw C, pointer arithmetic, and manuals thicker than the Bible. When something broke, you couldn't go ask an AI agent or hop on a VC with your Discord bros. There was just you, your terminal, and however long you had access to a computer. But that's also what made them so freaking good. Having these limitations had to make them think in more creative ways. In the 80s and the 90s, they would literally use video memory as data storage. And this was before dedicated VRAM controllers. If they needed a few extra bytes otherwise, they'd need to hand optimize an assembly. They counted CPU cycles like a bodybuilder counts calories. But again, these limitations just made them sharper, and they largely built a lot of the abstractions we use today. No tutorials. Nowadays, we're spoiled for choice in terms of tutorials. You could spend an entire lifetime just doing courses. We have so many tutorials, we invented tutorial hell. But back in the 90s, you'd be lucky to find a programming book in the library. The closest thing you'd have to guidance is a printed manual, and maybe a friend who was good with computers but didn't really know programming. You'd have to spend hours debugging, staring at hexadecimal memory dumps, and somehow after enough pain, things would kind of work. These days we're spoiled for choice. We have content, mentors, programming groups, a whole subculture dedicated to programming. 90s programmers really only had their compiler to speak to.
Hello, darkness, my old friend.
Now there is a caveat. A lot of these 90s programmers were successful because they were on the frontier of tech. You weren't scaling to billions of users, managing 12 layers of microservices. You were trying to build a fun 2D game without your computer exploding. And although programming was infinitely harder, the problems themselves were simpler to understand, and they were actual problems to solve. Not some agentic AI workflow fostering collaboration. That's why names like Linus, Stallman, and Ballard feel so revered. Except Stallman, I kinda don't like the guy. Because before the age of AI hype bros, buy my course YouTubers, day in the life TikTokers,
Make it stop!
there was just you, your computer, and whatever it is you wanted to build. Not gonna lie, I'd rather be a programmer now. At least nowadays I can watch Netflix engineers react to articles about Perl. And also because we have awesome tools to make our life easier. Like the sponsor of today's video, Whisperflow. Now if you work at a startup like me, you probably wake up every day with your inbox looking like this, and your carpal tunnel wristband feeling a bit itchy. You don't have to worry anymore, because Flow lets you dictate anything, anywhere, blazingly fast. Like check this out. Hey, these are 3 things I love about Flow. It's blazingly fast, insanely accurate, and it even gets names right. Isn't that right, Dricus Duplessis? You can even reply to Slack messages. Hey, can we meet up at 4:45 p.m. tomorrow? Anywhere your cursor is, Flow can dictate for you. That means any app, website, literally anything. It just needs a text input. And the best part? Flow fully integrates into your IDE. Hey, can you unit test my gigabase.py file? Boom, bap, and done. By the way, did you catch that? On Cursor and Windsurf, Flow recognizes file names and tags them into your workspace. This brings in all the context into my prompt. Flow has literally saved me hours, and a large part of my sanity. Get started with Whisperflow today for free on Mac, Windows, and iPhone. Click the link in the description or pinned comment. The link also gives you an extra month of Flow Pro for free. Thanks to Whisperflow for sponsoring this video, and thank you for your time. I am Big Box.